Miami beats Ole Miss 31-27. Unbelievable football game here. Semifinal game, back and forth. Miami's offense, 41 minutes time of possession. It is extremely difficult to lose a football game in Ole Miss's behalf, right? To win a football game when the team has the ball for 41 minutes and 22 seconds out of a 60-minute football game. Ole Miss, I believe, was only at 18 or so minutes of time of possession. That's just, it's not a recipe to win the game. Miami was physically dominant in the trenches. I thought Carson Beck played an extremely impressive game. Very proud of his performance, and I'm sure the Miami faithful are as well. Trinidad Chambliss and that Ole Miss offense, right? Not as effective as what we were used to seeing. 2 for 10 on third down hurt them. But without talking any further, guys, we're going to get into the film room. We're going to look at a little bit of both teams this time, right? This isn't going to be predicated towards just Miami and the win here. Majority of it will be that, but we'll definitely look at some Ole Miss film in this game as well, since it was a close football game down to what was almost, it was the last play of the game, right? Back and forth, fourth quarter, but let's get into it. Miami, Ole Miss film review. Let's do it. First play we're taking a look at here. Miami, Carson Beck scrambles. It's a 3rd and 8, first quarter. Early game here, but there's something I want to show you guys on this play that's a bit of a foreshadowing as we get later into the game. So Beck picks up the first down, or maybe a yard or two short. I can't entirely remember. There was somewhere in there where he scrambled with his legs and ended up being an inch or two short, but with this offensive line, that's not a problem for Miami. But what I wanted to show you on this play, because when you look at it at first, it's nothing special, right? Ole Miss is going to show you a cover 2 look. We're going to obviously shade over to the bunch trips, not really a bunch trips, but the trips that we have off to the left side of the field out of Miami. Now, the biggest reason I wanted to show this play is really what's going on here on the line of scrimmage. All right, so Ole Miss is essentially showing a possibility of sending 5, right? So we have 1, 2, then we're going to have 3, and then we may have 4, and then we may have 5, right? That would be 5 on 5 in the trenches, then that would obviously leave everybody else in coverage in the secondary, right? So pretty simple, right? 6 people deep. Instead, what Ole Miss is going to do is actually drop back into a zone, and we're going to drop back into a zone. And we're only sending 3. So here, here, and here. What does that do? Well, when you show a cover 2 look, first and foremost, when he drops back into this zone, deep in the middle of the field right here is where the pass lane is going to be open. Okay, typically what you're going to get, deep half, everybody else is going to play their zones, hook to curl, in the flats, all of that stuff. Here's the problem. As we play this a little bit, I want you to watch this thing develop. Again, so we drop back, right? Boom. We're dropping back into this zone. We're dropping back to take the hook to flat away. Okay. Safeties are both back. Now we're playing a little bit aggressive here. It's a 3rd and 8. We're not too worried about the deep ball. We're more so worried about that 8-yard stick that we want to keep them from. Again, safety, we're kind of staying down on this thing. But when we drop back, it's a 5 on 3. So pressure more often than not is going to be non-existent. If the secondary or coverage can hold up, that's great. But as we continue to play this through, I want you to see the problem. Now, Beck has a window where this ball can go, right? We do a good job as Ole Miss. They're able to get a little pressure with 3. But again, when you only send 3, that leaves a lot of space back here for Carson Beck to maneuver, step up, do whatever he has to do in the pocket. He doesn't have to worry about stepping into another pass rusher or spinning into another pass rusher. And it's almost impossible to keep your pass rush lanes when you're only sending 3. You got to try to shimmy and make something happen. So as Beck steps up, the closest defender to him is nearly 10 yards away. That's all we have, right? We're able to at least diagnose and come down and make a play, but when we only need 8 yards to get there, so somewhere in this neighborhood, it's really, really difficult when you only send 3 and you drop 8 into coverage to try to come up and make this tackle, right? It creates his legs become an issue. No one's really left to spy. As much as we want to say maybe this is our spy, it's not. And again, Beck has this throw right here. I mean, this throw is absolutely here. This safety, of course, if you can see, is looking here. We're going to start to try to make our way there. But if this ball's out right now on a rope, we maybe absorb some contact here from that safety, but we can still get this football, right? And we're up so far, Carson Beck can make that throw. But instead, really, he's got 2 great options to beat this. And it's take it, run, and before contact is even made, I mean, we're already at 6 to 7. We only need 8 yards. And again, the main reason I wanted to show you guys this is because it's going to come back big time as we get further into this film review. Next play here, Ole Miss touchdown, Keywan Lacey, big run, big time play. This thing gets them out in front early in this game. He takes this thing all the way to the house. I think he pulled a hammy on this play, but he ended up coming back later in the game, so that's big. Now, let's take a look and let's see what happened here. All right, where did it go right for Ole Miss, being a big play, big touchdown run from Keywan Lacey? Where did it go wrong for the Canes? All right, first and foremost, as we see over 70% of snaps this year from Miami, right? Tampa 2 iteration of the cover 2. That's what Corey Heatherman and that defense love to play. It's a safe defense. It's one of the most common defenses you're going to see, not only in college, but even at the NFL level. And Miami is no stranger to it this year. So first thing I want you to watch as this play starts to develop is the safety here. Okay, we're gonna shade down and end up coming into the box quick. All right, whether this was a safety blitz, whether it was designed, whatever the case is, it's 2nd and 3. So we're thinking run, we're likely keying run. Oftentimes, what I think is funny is 2nd and 3 is typically a passing down. It's an opportunity to be aggressive because you're ahead of schedule when it comes to the chains. But in this instance, Miami's not worried about the pass, right? They're going to bring a safety down. What we have here is we're going to shade over his butt. We're going to get an outside swim, obviously, we're the defensive end more often than not. Not necessarily a stunt here, but as soon as he takes 61 with him, we're actually going to go right where 51, our guard, vacates. On Ole Miss's side of this thing, our guard is going to crack down. We want to hit this B gap right here. This is where we want to go. 61 will shade and pin out. 51 will crack down. The beauty of this is number 8. All right, our wing is going to come and crack the edge, right? He's going to seal this edge right here, and that then creates our gap. Obviously, narrow there, but you're going to see as this thing develops, it's not as narrow. So again, the biggest thing to watch here, safety, we're coming down. Our leverage should be a lot more this direction. Instead, we're going this way. I don't like the splits that we take. We think we're going to fill this gap, right? But here's the deal. We get a good block here. We get a good double team crack down here. All right, now we're going to pin to the next block. And we're going to come and seal this. Keywan Lacey's a great running back. You give him a sliver of space, right? We're going to see this thing develop, okay? 51 does an excellent job on the double team. Then he immediately gets second level, right? Body on a body. Number 8 does a good job. Just put your butt one direction and turn him around. Just get in his way. As they both do that, you're going to see this thing open wide up, right? There it is. Wide open. Beautiful looking gap. Great block, great block, great block. Great peel, great block. Again, like we mentioned earlier, our safety that started out in this area has now come way too far into the box, which is not a problem, right? If that was designed, that's great. But that needs to be a lot more aggressive to the inside, okay? Instead, we take this more on this outside angle, which leaves this gap where we wanted to hit right through the B gap, right? We're coming to the C gap. This ball's going through the B gap. Keywan Lacey's speed, that's not a problem for him, man. He's going to hit this thing, and he is gone for 6. That safety on the other side of the field doesn't take a great angle, misses the tackle. See ya. Next play here, second quarter, 10-10 game. Huge touchdown pass from Carson Beck. Huge play, busted coverage out of Ole Miss, right? We see it, get this thing out on a rope. All we got to do is put it on him, man. Just put it on him. Marion, wide open. How in the world does he get that open? Let's talk about it. Let's find out. All right. Again, cover 2 look out of Ole Miss. They're going to end up, I believe, on this play only sending 3. You can already see we're dropping back. So again, at this point in the game, if you've watched it, Ole Miss has been torched on a lot of mesh concepts, okay? Tunnel screens have killed them from Malachi Toney. They continue to kill him in this game, and a lot of these underneath crossers, right? Malachi Toney, Marion, some of these guys, the speed Miami has, they love to run those mesh concepts. So what you're going to notice that these safeties start to have a tendency to do is come down, right? Almost like a robber. They want to take these away. Instead of playing back in their half, right? Deep half, they try to come down and take away zones that are essentially already taken and don't need an extra body. So as this thing develops, what I want you to notice is our safety here is already down aggressively. So are we. We're coming to take these underneath routes away. We're tired of getting beat, right? We have essentially now a deep third kind of look. We're thinking here that we have safety help over top, deep half. The problem is our safety, his eyes are on Carson Beck. He's coming down to take away this crossing route. Ole Miss is tired of these crossing routes killing him in this game. So again, as he continues to come down, now he's all the way down. We're going to watch a pass off, right? He thinks, oh, we're good. My safety's back there. He's going to take he's going to take care of him. Instead, my safety's here. He didn't need to be, right? We have 2 bodies on one route there, and we didn't need it. And now Marion's got a free pass. So again, look at this. I mean, at this rate, when you only send 3, there's really not a lot going on. We do have a pseudo spy. So we're going to try to get out there and take that run lane away from Carson Beck, right? Try to put some pressure on him. But at this rate, I mean, this is already a touchdown. Nobody is back there, as you can see. Nobody. And that's the window that Carson Beck sees. It's a great job going through his progressions. He already sees it. Let me rewind this just a smidge. Look at this. Hand in the air. Beck absolutely sees it, and he's saying, hey, man, get this thing to me out here, and we're in the end zone. This is 6, and that's exactly what happens. Carson Beck sees it. Blown coverage out of Ole Miss, lack of communication. But again, that's in part to and in respect to Miami's ability to just torch them on these underneath routes, the tunnel screens, a lot of these quick hits, right? Ole Miss was aggressive in wanting to take that away, and instead now they get beat over top from that over-aggression. Next play here, I want to showcase what happens when Ole Miss didn't just send 3. What I think they should have done more in this football game, even though it felt like Carson Beck was torching them through the air at times, Malachi Toney was able to get his. There just felt like a lot of moments in this game where when they sent 3, it hurt them, whether it was Beck's legs or the last play we just looked at with a blown coverage, even though we have 8 back in coverage. This was an example of really what I wanted to see more out of Ole Miss. So I'm going to play this thing a little bit. All right, we're going to bring a blitz. So we're sending 3 here. We're going to blitz, and we're going to get what's really almost like a stunt. Okay, so 6 is going to come down towards 73. 73 thinks, hey, I'll go ahead and take the blitzer. We got numbers here. We got a double team here. We got a matchup here. Perfect. We're all good. Even if they're only sending 4, we got time. What ends up happening, though, is we see a stunt. So we're going to cut inside. 6 is going to go outside. What ends up happening is 73 and 61, okay? Our guard and our tackle is what I want you to watch. 73 diagnoses this, right? He, for whatever reason, instead of just passing off to 61, right, he ends up running out here to try to take this block away. Well, then what happens is 61 sees that coming right towards him, and he says, okay, well, I'm going to shed him off. Someone will pick him up, right? Ideally, in this case, my running back, right, who's sitting right here, should be able to step in and fill that gap. That's the open gap. That's where it's at, right? Anytime a stunt is ran, if someone does come free, we got to make that block. 61 does a good job shading, right? They pull a little banjo, so he moves on there. 6 has got to have his eyes up, man. You're too far into the line at this point to really be able to adapt whichever direction and make your block. And instead, Uman Mielen comes right through. 61 now, right, or 73, I believe it was, right? Our guard. He's trying to block 2 people. I mean, he's doing his absolute best. And you know, in their head, they're thinking, hey, we got some pass pro support behind us with our tailback. And instead they don't, right? And Uman Mielen comes free, and it's a really good thing he does, right? This crossing route earlier in the development might have been open. We have what looks to be some kind of a dig. So that dig was likely going to be open if Beck had some time to get that out. Malachi Toney probably going to be open as per usual with him. But instead, this is a big sack. This is huge on a first down, right? You're already down 7. You don't want to give up more points before the half. I show this to just say, you know, if you're an Ole Miss fan watching this game, I really wish Pete Golding would have been a little bit more aggressive in terms of pass rush. I wish we would have seen more stunts. Uman Mielen, a lot of the game, if you guys did watch it, took these wide angles. And when you only send 3 and you take that wide of an angle, you're almost eliminating yourself from the play in totality, right? So having this stunt, being able to see this and get the sack, I wish they would have utilized this a little bit more and just put some more pressure on Carson Beck as the rest of this game unfolded. Next play, late fourth quarter, Ole Miss absolutely needs it. Second down, we get a flood concept touchdown from Trinidad Chambliss, wide open, blown coverage from Miami. What exactly happened? How did this get that open? Okay, now, first thing we want to diagnose is what Miami's showing us, okay? Yet again, another 4-3 look. We're coming down. We're showing a little bit of simulated pressure. We might bring it. We might not. Who knows? Corey Heatherman up to this point in this game has been pretty aggressive with his pass rush schemes, okay? Now, we're showing what almost looks a bit like a cover 1. This may confuse Chambliss, but the thing is, this is going to end up being our safety that is going to drop back and take a deep half. We're going to see our free safety drop back to take another deep half. So this ends up still being a pseudo Tampa 2. And at Ole Miss, obviously, we're shaded heavy towards the short side of the field. So that was that is the strong side of the field. We're going to get a flood concept. So what is a flood concept? All right. We're going to get a streak right here. Ends up being a little bit of a skinny post, but we're going to get more of a streak. All right, let me draw that a little bit better so it's easier to see. So 2 is going to run a streak right up the field, okay? 8 is then going to come and take this thing to the corner. All right, now this streak here on the inside is actually going to be a little bit more of an inside release. We're going to get our corner route to the pylon, and then we're going to get Keywan Lacey on a little underneath out route, all right? So where does the bind get created, all right? It really puts the bind on this safety, not so much our corner, not so much anyone else, okay? But he shades over this way. So now where does the bind get put on? Well, typically it would be put on him, right? What route are you going to take? Are we going to take the pylon away? Are you going to take this kind of inside release streak away? You got to make a decision. It's supposed to put him in a bind. And then we have our other defender, right, who's going to have to come down and take away, Keywan Lacey right here. I hope that's not too confusing for you guys. Let me play it, and it'll make a little bit more sense. Okay, so again, here's our release. We're going to see we're dropping back into our deep half. We're going to come take the other deep half of the field. We're going to take the underneath route away. We're dropping back into a zone. Our zone should be right back here. But instead, what do? Our eyes get hooked on Trinidad Chambliss. We think, hey, 2 is going to be the important route. I'm going to run with 2 away from this part of the zone. And you're going to see the camera's going to flip here. But you can already see this starting to develop. I'm going to pause it again. Look at hips turned this way. We're worried about 2. We're thinking, I don't know if maybe we thought it was man-to-man. Obviously, again, we're sitting in a zone. We're not following 8. We're passing 8 off. As 8 gets passed off, that's going to leave the pylon wide open. Camera flips. Now let's watch this thing. Wide open. Again, we're chasing. We were taking the underneath route away. We followed 2. And that leaves our pylon wide open. And there is the window. Chambliss sees it. It's a great pass, great execution. Again, Ole Miss gets this thing in the end zone, takes the lead here late in the fourth quarter. Next play, friends, Miami. Final drive of the game. Absolutely have to have it. Field goal can do it. We can go to overtime, but do we want to put the pressure on Carter Davis's legs, or do we want to put this thing in the end zone and leave as little time as we can and find our way to a national championship? That's exactly what Miami wants to do in this instance, man. I absolutely love this play call, but more than anything is what is Ole Miss doing? All right, we show a cover 2 look. Before this motion came across here, we showed 2 high safeties, right? 1 being there, 2 being here, okay? As soon as 87 motions this direction, we're going to get a hand signal over here, if you guys can see, where these 2 are saying, hey, it's man-to-man, okay? I got 87, you got 7, or vice versa, whatever we want to do, all right? I'm pushing them off to you. It's man-to-man coverage. We now have a single high safety. Carson Beck doesn't care. He's going to attack this, all right? He's going right at this thing. As soon as he sees this turn in man-to-man coverage, right, we're going to turn our hips and try to attack it. He already likes the spacing he has. He feels like, hey, if we're going to take here and Tony, right, we're not dropping into his zone. It's man-to-man coverage. I like this window that I have right here. I'm going to put this thing on an absolute rope right to him. If I'm not mistaken, this was a 3rd down. Crucial 3rd and 10, I want to say. And look at the zip on this ball. I mean, this is just gorgeous. Carson Beck just absolutely anticipates this route, sees the man-to-man coverage, sees the splits, the safety's deep enough to where he can get this thing right in this general area, and this is just absolute thing of beauty, man. On a rope, huge play, closer to the end zone. It's a 1st down. Whoa, we're about to spoil the next one, and Miami gets themselves in striking distance. All right, now we can start talking about this play. Last play of the game, really for Miami's offense, I should say. There was some time left. Ole Miss, had the Hail Mary there at the end, but what happens again? Fast forward all the way back to the beginning of this video with Ole Miss. When they only send 4 this time, which they do, but it's man-to-man, nobody spies Carson Beck. We run a stunt here. Okay, so Miami's offensive line has done an incredible job really all night long. Now, it's hard to do, I guess, a bad job when a good majority of the snaps Ole Miss is only sending 3. But now in this case, instead of dropping a spy, knowing that it's 2nd and goal, right, we got to be careful of his legs. He's used his legs a lot tonight. They run a stunt, which, again, I will say earlier, I wanted them to run more of that. I don't know about this part of the field because, like I always say, if you're going to play man-to-man coverage down on this end of the field or really anywhere, who has the quarterback? Nobody. And as this thing continues to develop, we don't really get a whole lot of pressure, right? We finally do on that stunt around the outside from 52, which I like. But then we look up and every single route has taken us this direction, right? We are terrified of these underneath crossers, especially on this end of the field. And Beck, yet again, like he did a huge chunk of that night, uses his legs, finds the end zone. Miami punches their ticket to the national championship when the game was all said and done. But of course, this was the touchdown that walked it off for him. Friends, that's all I got. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. If you like the content, leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Appreciate you guys for 1,000 subscribers. So thankful and exciting, man. Exciting times. We're going to continue to grow this channel. Film review of the national championship will be coming up. We'll do a preview of the national championship. And then sadly, college football is over. And I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do with my life for the next 7 months or however long it is until August rolls around. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video.